mistake. I brought him back.
Candyman isn't real.
He chose you. He has purpose for you.
Tell everyone. New to the neighborhood. You should say it.
Candyman.
Say his name.
Candyman!
Welcome back, everybody, to Real Time for the Real Everyday Movie Fan. I am, of course, Josh Williams. Thank you so much for joining me here today, because I am here to give you my real-time movie review of Candyman 2021. Now, Candyman 2021 was directed by Nia DaCosta, and it stars Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Teyonah Parris, Colman Domingo, Nathan Stewart, what's his last name there? Nathan Stewart-Jarrett, and Vanessa Williams making a return from the original Candyman 1992. And there's another cameo there. I don't want to spoil it if you don't look online, but if you want to look online, it's on there. But there's a really great little cameo at the end of the film all I'm going to mention is that, and it's a great cameo. Now, before we get into my review, guys, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you receive all of our great content we have here on Real Time. We have the reviews, we have our reactions, we have our discussion videos, our new segments that I am bringing back officially. I just got done working on one with Casey, and that'll be up there soon. And of course, our interviews that Ryan does with all of the filmmakers in the industry. We have some here on the channel, so go to the channel and check those out. Now, lastly, this review is sponsored by B&B Missouri 6 Theaters. And now we're going to take a brief little time away to give my shout outs to them. Then we'll get into the review. I'll be right back. B&B Missouri 6 is the premier theater to see a movie if you're in the Missouri area. The refreshments are delicious, the seats give you full reclining comfort, and the movie viewing experience is euphoric. But the main reason I wanted B&B to be my sponsor is their staff and the overall movie-going experience they provide. They're professional, friendly, inviting, and they truly have you leaving the theater feeling, as their motto goes, the magic of the movies. All right. Thank you so much for indulging me there. I have to give a shout out to the sponsor. They take good care of me. I get to screen these movies early, and I can get these to you in a reasonable time. It's not as early as like some reviewers do. Some reviewers get it from the studios, but I get them from the theaters themselves. But still, it's a really great time. I'm so appreciative of what they do for me. So now, let's talk about Candyman. So some people may not realize that this is a direct sequel to the original Candyman 2. Now, I'm not sure if it takes like kind of like what Halloween did, where it kind of erases what Candyman 2 and 3 are, but it is a direct sequel to the first one. So I would say it's not a requirement, but to help give you more context of what goes on in the movie, it's good to probably rewatch Candyman 1992 to give you more context for certain things that happen within the film, especially since Vanessa Williams is back. She's playing the same character she did from the original 1992 version of the film. Now, there's a lot of things coming out of this movie. There was a lot of things I liked, and there's things I didn't like. And it's nothing. I don't know. I felt conflicted leaving the theater because there's so much I love about this movie. There's so many different themes and different symbolisms that are used throughout the film that I really like that they tackle and discuss, but they don't dive too well deep into them like I'd hoped them to. But then there's things like the cinematography. Nia DaCosta. We'll just start off with the bad things I liked the most. Nia DaCosta's direction and the choices she used with cinematography it was so gorgeous. Like the composition she used with the cinematographer, and cinematographer was John I can't even pronounce his last name, I'm sorry, Golasarian. I hope I'm already butchering that. I don't know, the work she did with him on this film, like the composition, the lighting, even the gory scenes where there's some of the deaths you see, they look beautiful. And so I couldn't, that's the things I remember that I love the most. But even the opening shot of the film, and it's nothing really even special, it's just more like, it's mostly you're seeing the cityscape. It just, the way the camera's angled, it just looks very interesting. And that's how the movie is even throughout. And even the opening credits are done in such an artistic visual way that it adds to the layers of the film and what you're getting yourself into. So I liked that a lot. I liked a lot of the artistic choices that they made throughout the whole film, and that was for me what stood out the most. And even with the score, it had a lot of good tension to the movie where you needed it, and it really enthralled you within the film along with the cinematography. That's because the camera angles and the movements, like I said, that's what really it kept me so engaged. On top of Yahya Abdul-Mateen's performance in this movie is stunningly spectacular. I mean, he makes you feel everything that's going on with him, everything that's going on within the scenes that he's in that's maybe not directly with him. It just he's such a great actor, and I felt like I've seen him in stuff before, and then I had to go back and kind of look at like what he has been in, like Trial of Chicago 7, which he was in, which he was so great in that movie. Even though it was a smaller role than the rest, he was very effective in it. But this is so much different. Like the character he's playing, other than when he goes mad, like you see in the trailers, what's happening with him. The character itself, Anthony, it's very subdued. It's very, very personable. Like it felt so real, and that's what I think what also kept me into the film as well. Was he just felt such a real character, and relatable, that you root for him, but then also you feel so tragically sad for him from what happens to him throughout the movie, and it's kind of like a friend of mine made this analogy. It's kind of like watching. It's kind of like not Firefly, The Fly, with I forgot. I'm already forgetting his name. I'm not going to go into it, but you know The Fly, where he's slowly transforming into a fly. But there's something happening with him. You see it in the trailers. Something's going on with him that you almost you tragically feel for him, and that added a lot of great layers to it. And also his counterpart, which played his girlfriend, was Teyonah Parris, which she's now Photon within the Marvel MCU. That's probably where you see her from the most if you're like a big mainstream fan of films. That's where you know her from, and I'm really glad she got to do something else other than Marvel, something to sink her teeth into as far as an artistic horror film like this. Great job she did as well. I mean, even this movie's only an hour and a half long, and yet they quickly introduced these two characters, a couple, but within the first 5 minutes, you already feel their love, and that's due to the chemistry between the two actors. You felt the love, you felt the chemistry, it was there, and it almost just felt established right away. And it's a good thing that actors can do that. And it is mostly Anthony's story, but she is a great anchor for the like how I'm trying to put him back into reality. It's hard to explain, but it's also the emotional anchor for the film as well, for what's happening with Anthony in a way, especially towards the end. Now, those are the things I really love. Like I said, the creativity, the themes that they tackle in this movie, I love. But the downside is I wish they would have explored them more. Like I told you, this is an hour and a half movie. I felt like this movie could have been 2 hours long and have been perfectly fine, because it's paced really well. It takes its time to introduce these characters, introduce this world, reintroduce us to this world and the legend of Candyman. But I feel like there was, through certain scenes and certain themes that they tackle, and even then through the lore of Candyman, I feel like there's stuff missing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's stuff trimmed from it that could have been easily kept in, I think, to help it better. And that's what it was for me too, especially towards the third act, where everything was paced so well. In the very third act of the movie, at the climax and towards the end, it felt like a sprint almost. Like, it felt like you were going through a nice jog, and all of a sudden it became a sprint. That was a little bit of a problem for me, just a little bit, because, like I said, there was so much more I wanted to explore, and even at the end, while it was great, it just felt a little rushed. And and going back to the other part with the themes and the writing, that's the other part I probably had just a little bit of an issue with. It's because they tackle these different themes within the movie, and it's like they introduce them all of what's the movie's trying to talk about, but they're all not fully explored. It's more surface level, and I wished it would have explored it more within this movie, and as far as it relates to Candyman, if that all makes sense. Now, with the horror aspects of Candyman, that was all great. I had no issues with that whatsoever. I will say it was a little confusing when they're exploring the lore of Candyman on his origins, why he's called it, who... Because like you see in the trailers, they talk about this guy who, was in the walls and he hands out candy. That's an aspect of it, but then again, it's not. It all became kind of a little confusing for me and convoluted. But it doesn't take away how much I actually enjoyed this movie. And it's funny, I was supposed to give a score at the beginning, and that's how we do it on this channel, but I really wanted to just get into and talk about this movie. I feel like this movie is definitely a niche. If you're a horror fan, definitely go see it. And if you loved the first Candyman like I did, I was excited for this movie. And the fact that Jordan Peele was coming to produce, and he helped write it, which was a shocker. Like I said, I felt like almost if the studio asked him to cut or something, because there's so much missing. Maybe if there's a director's cut there, we might get it, and it'll explore more. Because it was just shocking that there's some spots that are a little bit choppy and convoluted as far as the writing when it comes to Jordan Peele, who's already proven himself to be a fantastic writer and director. But doesn't take away from... you probably heard my daughter in the background there. Doesn't take away from Nia DaCosta's directing in the film and her choice of shots, like I said. Very creative. I still enjoyed the hell out of this movie. If you love art house films, definitely go see it. If you love horror films, go see it. I don't know if it'll play well to the mainstream media or not, or mainstream like moviegoers who like the Marvels and the bigger movies. It's definitely niche. I think it does do well of having the eye, like it. In the first Candyman, it was more you're looking through the eyes of a Caucasian person, because essentially the female woman was the main character. This one, it's more definitely through the eyes of the African American community and the African American main actor, which I really did enjoy a lot. So that's one of the things I think explored well that people should look out for. And I don't know, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna see it again with my wife. I'm gonna take her to go see it this weekend. For now, I'm probably gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I might bump it up more, or it might even go less when I see it a second time. It all really depends. I'll probably throw a comment in here in this video and tell you if it changed or not. But I think it's worth the money. I really do, especially if you enjoy Jordan Peele's work or if you enjoy horror films. It's not like extremely scary and thrilling. It's definitely it reminds me a lot of Get Out, a lot of social horror commentary and a lot of physical horror, not a lot of like the suspense like you get from like The Conjuring or something along those lines. It's very stylistic. It's very beautiful in its horror. It does have suspense moments, but it's also very physical horror where you're cringing in your seat. Like there's moments there where he's messing with his skin. It just like makes you crawl. So that's kind of what the horror aspect of it is. But all around, guys, check it out. I think people who go see it, who are looking forward to it, will enjoy it. If not, jump in the comments and let me know what you think. But that'll do it for me today, folks. Thank you very much for watching. Again, give me your score out of 10 as well, along with what you liked and didn't like. Also, if you like this review and you like the content that we provide, God, I can't talk today. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you can receive all of our great content we have here on ReelTime. Again, I'm Josh Williams, and thank you for keeping it real with ReelTime.